Hello. Whew. Man, I ate too much chicken. Whoa. If it's healthy for you and you eat too much of it, is it still a sin? I think the answer is probably yes. Man, that chicken was good. Sometimes Costco has some interesting things. It was just like stuffed chicken with tomato sauce. Oh my god. Yeah, enough about food, right? Just got done making a video about Fuji winning 2019. Of the top four slots, Fujifilm won number 1 and number 4 place. I got a very, very tiny list of what Fujifilm needs to do, and every camera company, including Fujifilm, of course, has statisticians and corporate war planning, if you will, as far as like, what's the empty spot that needs to be filled, that people are asking for. And there are several that Fujifilm is lacking on. But as a very small company, and Fujifilm relative to Nikon, Canon, and Sony is small, even by their own admission, in their own words they've said this. They've done some amazing things in the past 3 years, and of course this is the end of 2019. Overnight, quite literally, and this has never happened before in the world of photography, including film photography, where a company basically own everybody on a format. Back when I was in photography school, everybody and their brother was making a medium format camera. Nobody owned anybody else. Fujifilm now owns medium format digital. They own it. They own it lock, stock, and barrel by a percentage of well over 90%. And that's unbelievable. I mean, Pentax and Hasselblad and Phase One and a few other entities have been in digital medium format for many, many years. But Fujifilm destroyed everybody overnight by making a superior product at a way cheaper price. Fujifilm owns the professional DX camera market. They have not only the X-T1, X-T2, X-T3 line, which have been incredibly successful, the X-H1, which has been insanely popular, and recently the X-H1 was on sale, and Fujifilm sold the ever-loving hell and gone out of it. Fujifilm owns far and away, and I have mine right here, and I also have the X Pro 2. Man, I love this camera, by the way. The X Pro 3. The world's fastest digital rangefinder style camera. Same sensor and image processing engine as the X-T3. Incredible camera. Very, very finely polished piece of product. Made in Japan. Titanium top and bottom plate. Exquisite. By the way, no matter what you think about the LCD panel and its location, the LCD display on the X Pro 3, I don't know if you have seen it up close, it is fantastic. It's absolutely amazing. So Fujifilm owns medium format. They own DX cameras. Essentially so. I mean, they have the lion's share. And by the way, Fujifilm just won number 1 as the single best DX camera under $1,500. It's just unbelievable. The video that it does is just a do-it-all tool for under $1,500. And like I said, just Fujifilm also owns the world's fastest digital rangefinder style cameras. Also, too, don't forget the X100V is coming out. I currently have the X100F. I had an X100T. Leaf shutter camera. Very inexpensive. Made in Japan. Incredible build quality. Fujifilm owns that. What are you going to do? You got to buy a $10,000 Leica? Not fast at all either. Not that reliable also. Oh my god. I'm going to spend a lot of money for a camera. I would like it to at least be reliable. Fujifilm also too, and this is a huge market, more so than the X-T3 and the medium format and all that other, is that they own the single best sub $1,000 compact camera that does it all. And that's the X-T30. I also have that camera. By the way, did I mention, well, yes I did in the prior video, to this one that I've got the best hit rate on camera and lens recommendations of anybody on YouTube? Statistically, I do. Stuff that people like kind of scoff, like, I'm not going to take that guy's review, and I always turn out to be right on the stuff that I have in hand, and I say, yeah, this is it. Also, too, single best DX series, like I said, the X-T3, X-T2. What Fujifilm's lacking, getting to the damn point, I know I'm blathering on, right, is that Fujifilm, because other than a $50,000 Phase 1, which you ain't buying and I'm not buying, the only thing out there is a redonkulously expensive Leica monochrome. Yeah. Fujifilm overnight, and there's a lot of people. I've been telling everybody the incredible advantages of not having a color filter. It was like, well, it's just monochrome. No! I showed people picture examples of what happens when you actually remove that color filter array and you increase S and R to the sensor. The dynamic range, the tonality just goes off the charts. It looks way better than black and white film does. And yes, I shot a crap load of black and white film. A lot! Fujifilm overnight, even with one of their cheap cameras, they could come out with like an XE3M, which would be like monochrome. Please God, Fujifilm, make a damn monochrome camera. Overnight, you would destroy everybody. You would just whoop, like Fujifilm did with medium format cameras. Yes, 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 overnight Fujifilm, shoop, owned medium format. All they would have to do is modify and order like 100,000, I don't know what the minimum order is, on a monochromatic run on a silicon wafer lithography. Maybe it's 500,000, I don't know what it would be. Or they would sell it. I was right on their GFX 100. Fujifilm didn't anticipate the enormous amount of orders they would have for that, which is why there's a lack of GFX 100s to go around right now. Well, I'm right about this. If Fujifilm made a true monochrome camera, they would sell the hell out of it. Are you listening, Fujifilm? Are you listening? Are you listening to me? Not only was I right about the GFX 100, and I had a lot of people telling me this nonsense. Not very bright of them. People. It's a $10,000 camera. It's a special. People are going to buy that. Well, turns out Fujifilm sold a lot of them. Not my opinion or my feeling or belief. They did. And I'm right about this, Fujifilm. Are you listening? Are you listening, Fujifilm? You sell a lot of them. Okay, moving on now. You know how big the 200mm f2 Fujifilm lens is? Pretty huge. About a third that size would be, wait for it, would be a 500mm 5.6. It doesn't have to be a phase Fresnel array like the new Nikon. By the way, like Nikon's got 3 people making those and they're like a year backlogged. Even I can't get my hands on that damn lens. Fujifilm, because with the X-T3 and the X Pro 3, not that this is really a hardcore sports action wildlife camera, it's not designed for that. However, it has the same autofocus capabilities. With the X-T3 and the upcoming XH2, whenever that comes out, wink, wink, nod, nod, Fujifilm needs a ultra-hardcore sports action wildlife lens. And a 500 5.6 would be about that long, and the front of it would be about that big. It would be way smaller than the 200mm f2. It would fit perfectly on an X-T3 with a vertical grip. And it would be perfect, combined with the incredible autofocus speed and capabilities of the X-T3, the X-T3 and the XH series cameras, and the X Pro, really, but I mean, it's not really made for that. It needs that. That is the missing hole that Nikon and Canon are filling for Fujifilm. If Fujifilm came out with a 500 5.6, oh my god! There'd be a lot of wildlife photographers buying the hell out of that thing. A lot. And you don't even tell me, like, well, I can stick a, and I have both of them, by the way. I can stick a 1.4 teleconverter on my 100 to 400mm Fujifilm and get out to 500. Not the same! It's not the same at all. People that know about lenses know what the hell I'm talking about. Okay, not the same. A 600mm 5.6 would be prohibitively expensive and it would be still huge. But a 500 5.6 for DX mount, it would not be that big, nor that expensive optically to produce. So that's the second thing Fujifilm needs to make. Number 1, monochrome. Not in this particular order. They're not in any chronological order. They need to be made. Monochrome, 500mm 5.6 for the X mount. Here's the third thing that it definitely needs to be made for both the X mount and the GF mount, and that is, are you listening, Fujifilm? I know Fujifilm is working on this right now. I know they are. I'm not psychic, but I know they're working on it. Tilt shift lenses. Tilt shift. Tilt shift. Extremely important for product photography, architecture, and landscape. It cries out for mostly for medium format. Yeah? Because that's where the pro work is done, and that's basically what a tilt shift lens is. It's a hardcore pro working lens. They're kind of expensive. I got more than a few tilt shift lenses, i.e. perspective control lenses. Fujifilm needs to make also too a tilt shift lens. Around about 40, well actually 35mm tilt shift would be perfect given the crop factor. It should be 2 tilt shift lenses for the GF series. One should be like a 40mm roughly, and one should be, well really, 85 millimeter and 35 or 40 millimeter, given the 0.78 crop factor of the GF series medium format. So 2 tilt shift lenses. And lastly, the last prime lens for the X series. Doesn't have to be the last, but Fujifilm desperately needs a 180 millimeter full frame equivalent field of view lens, which would be, for a crop sensor, would be 135 millimeter f2. Yes, yes, yes. For portraiture and a lot of other stuff, Fujifilm needs a low element. It basically would be a low element count ultimate rendering output, like the 35 millimeter 1.4 Fujifilm lens, while old and slow, was designed as a very simplistic design for ultimate rendering, i.e. its bokeh, its je ne sais quoi characteristics. It wasn't designed for ultimate sharpness. Not that, they poo-pooed sharpness in the design. But Fujifilm needs a lens in the ilk of the 35-1.4 or the 23mm 1.4, except in 135mm f2. That is missing. Yes, yes, yes. Which would be 180mm field of view equivalent in full frame. Kind of like the best portrait lens ever made, like the 180mm f2.8 D-series autofocus Nikkor. So those are the 4 things Fujifilm needs. Monochrome camera, shut the hell up and make it, please God. A 500mm 5.6, a 135mm f2, and 2 frigging tilt shift lenses, really 3. You need 2 tilt shift lenses for the GF series and 1 tilt shift lens for the crop sensor X mount camera. Yes, 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 says the guy that owns all the X series lenses and the GF series lenses and wrote the book on Fujifilm. I could actually say that now, I keep forgetting. I actually wrote the book on Fujifilm, which, by the way, is a downloadable link in the link below. It's 170 pages. I forget how long my book is. Anyway, it's the 3rd edition, 2nd edition, version 2.1, excuse me. Essentially 3rd edition. Anyway, the book is a free download below. And yeah. This is what I hope Fujifilm is listening to this, because I'm right. Not only am I right, I'm 100% right. So, yes, I did give this long consideration. I just didn't sit down and just start flapping my lips randomly. I gave this great deal of thought before saying it, but it didn't require that much thought actually, because I've been thinking about this for a long time. I guarantee you, I'm spending more time thinking about Fujifilm stuff and things. And I'm not even getting paid to do it. It's like other people are being paid at Fujifilm to think this stuff up. I'm doing it for you for free! Did you hear me, Fujifilm? No, I've not had any caffeine. No, I don't drink or smoke. I'm just giddy for some reason. I don't know. Maybe it's because I'm heading to Florida at the end of the week. Get out of this cold, crappy weather, because this weather sucks dead bunny rabbits. Repeat after me. Sucks dead bunny rabbits. This weather sucks. I hate the cold and I hate the snow. I want to go to a place where pineapples are growing on the sidewalk and people are walking around in spandex and lycra. That's my idea. Which is my other house in Fort Myers, Florida, by the way. I'm going there soon. Peace out, Girl Scout. Mic drop. Wait for it. Fujifilm.